everybody, it's Joy.
And it's Tim, and
And we
we're
are
here
back.
for and we're back, and we're here for episode number 34
Awesome.
of Live and Found.
And we're talking about,
What AI measures after it chooses. So last time we talked about the moment that AI reached confidence, and that's the point where it stops searching. So I thought today we would take it a little further and find out, if it finds something it trusts and it makes its decision. And for most people, that feels like the end of the process, but it's really not. It's just really the beginning because the decision isn't the end of the process. It's the moment the system changes how it evaluates everything after it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What happens after that decision is made?
and that is, we don't want to make light of the decision making process because once that decision is made on on a firm, on a business, that is really where that business gets the benefit.
You're the standard. Okay. AI looks at you like you're the standard, like you're the answer. And we talk about AI visibility. We've been doing this for over a year now. It is all about visibility, but really it's all about being the answer. And last week we talked about being the answer, and this week we're going to talk a little bit more about what happens after you've become the answer.
So, what's the first thing that happens once a business becomes, or a person, not a business, but a person in the business becomes the answer?
Well, you got to remember, you got to go back and old AI, when AI was still in its infancy, it would keep on asking, what's out there, what other options exist, what can I use, what could I use to make a decision. But now it's not doing that anymore. Now it's asking, does this match what I already trust? Is it better than what I've already chosen? Those are the two big questions AI is asking right now. Because AI doesn't just find an answer now. What it's really doing is it changes the question it's asking. So it's not asking, am I finding somebody? It's asking, is this the best answer? And is there a better answer out there?
So, let's just stop there for a minute and put it into practical terms. So, let's take a mortgage company, let's just say, because we never talk about that. And AI has picked ABC Mortgage Company as the baseline standard, meaning they do videos, they update their website, they do a blog, they have reviews, they have schema markup on what they do, where they are, their license, their certification, their practice areas, what they focus on. They've done all the things. That's the standard. So company, um,
XYZ.
yeah, wants to become the standard and or knock them off, let's say. The amount of work that XYZ has to do to knock off ABC is tremendous. And that's why we talk about why now is so important
Well,
because
it's so important to remember that once AI trusts something, it's not going to start over anymore. The old days it did, and it was a little easier for you to be knocked off the baseline. And the baseline is that area. There's that segment where AI says, "This is my answer." So that's why we want to remember what a baseline is. Once you get that baseline, once you've become that baseline as a person, as a business, as an entity, it takes a lot of work for AI to trust somebody else because you've already established that you are the reference point, that you are the place that you're the go-to. We always make fun of businesses say, well, that's my go-to guy. Well, to AI, you're the go-to business once you've created that baseline. And once you become the standard, and once that standard exists, everything else is judged against you because you have established the trust.
Well, and I think what's important too is AI might give 3 to 5 names or offerings, let's say 3, but there's no second page. There's no scrolling down the list. If someone says, I'm looking to refi my home, um, can you give me a mortgage company that has great rates, or has 20 or it's been in business for 20 years, or specializes in refi, or specializes in veteran loans? There is no Googling of it and going down a list. AI is going to give you a couple of names, and inherently, because people don't have time, they don't want to research, they'll pick those names and trust it because AI has established itself.
Well, I feel like right now AI is also training us, and I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And what I mean by that is when we used to Google an answer as people, it was common for us. We knew the first page was probably all the big guys and all the people that had lots of ads out there. And you would scroll down maybe to the bottom of the first page, maybe to the second page to find the person you really wanted. What I mean by AI is teaching us now is it's teaching us to write good prompts to find exactly what we want. And it only is going to give you 1, 2, possibly 3 answers. But most of the time, it's only going to give you that one. It's going to give you the one it trusts. And we keep saying that, but it's so vital. And we kind of touched on it for a second. But once you've gained that trust from AI, it takes a lot of work for that entity to be knocked off, or another entity, excuse me, to knock off the first entity. Because the first thing AI trust doesn't just get chosen, it becomes the standard that everybody else has to meet. And you pretty darn well got to be almost perfect, if not perfect, to knock a baseline off.
Well, and I think too, what's great about it is, and we've said this several times, is you can't buy your way to be the answer. You can't social media your way to be the answer. It's a formula that AI goes through, a process that AI goes through to validate a credible business that they trust. And that's what I love about it, because as people get very comfortable with using AI, trusting AI, there's no there's no marketing or advertising that's going to buy your way to the answer. And what that means for companies is if you do the work, you get the benefit of it.
Yeah, I think the bar's been set high. AI sets the bar high. I mean, again, going back to when AI first started, it used to ask the question, is this good? But now it's asking 3 questions, really. Is this better? Mm-hmm. Is this clear? And does this align with what I trust? And that's such a much higher bar than what Google was doing and what AI was doing earlier on. And that's where things really stop being equal. And that's, some businesses that are running into this and saying, this isn't how AI used to be. That's what they're feeling right now. This isn't what it used to be like. I used to be, here. I used to be the answer here. And now I'm not even being mentioned. Well, it's because you didn't establish your baseline strong enough and you didn't keep supporting your baseline. And that's what businesses now, who were at one time being seen by AI as the answer, are running into.
Well, and we say this often too, AI is just getting smarter. The future, and this is scary, we really haven't talked about this a lot, is AI is going to be doing the work for you. So, meaning an AI agent, meaning, you want to find a new mortgage, you want to refi your home, you want somebody that specializes in veteran loans. You put that in as a prompt and say, find that company, schedule me an appointment, send an email. That's where we're going. So if you think, for people who are like, oh, that's not going to happen, or I have a referral business and all the things, the reality is we've gone from a phone book to Googling to AI agents. And AI agents are going to be our admin or secretary person, which I know this is off topic, but it just made me think about the importance of establishing your baseline. AI agents are going to be working for the consumer and taking care of those tasks. And if you're not in the list, you're not going to be found.
Well, I think the big thing that what um, businesses are feeling too is early on everything what you talked about, the phone book, SEO, Google, early AI, everything was kind of isolated. You were kind of insulated in your own little silo of information. The new AI is not an isolation. Nothing gets evaluated in isolation anymore. It's always getting evaluated relative to that baseline we've talked about, which means even if something is good, it may not be good enough compared to what's already been chosen and what's already been out there. And you're not being judged on your own anymore. You're being judged against something that AI trusts. And that's probably where people are getting frustrated, is because they built a trust and then they kind of may have lost a little bit of that trust.
Well, it's ongoing work. You can't do it once, or you can't do it for 6 months and think that things are going to stay the same. I mean, I think that's part of the problem. Marketing stayed the same for 20 years. You bought your way to the top. I mean, if you had money, you could get to the top. Social media, if you did more, you got more visibility, more likes, more followers. This is a different this is a different game, and this game has far-reaching long-term effects. You can't buy your way, you can't post more. You have to be the credible source that AI is looking for.
Right. And, the businesses I hear often ask these questions in the industry newsletters that I get. We didn't change anything, or we're still doing what always worked, and we're not being found. Well, it's because you didn't change, but the way you're being evaluated did, and you're not adapting to it. And you need to adopt and adapt to where AI is going. And AI agents are going to, like Joy said, AI agents are going to be the next generation of where we go as an industry, and all industries are going to go to get answers. We know that AI search each year is gaining ground on Google because people are trusting it more. And we are now a society of instant answers. We want those instant answers, and AI can give them to us.
Well, and the other thing is to, like, we're we're planning for what is to come. You have to establish yourself now for what is to come. You might not see the benefit of new clients or new business, and I'm not making that argument at all. I'm just saying that may be the case right now. But excuse me, you're planting the seeds for what the future is going to be. And if you don't plant the seeds now, you're not going to be in the list. And that's why we're talking about the baseline being compared to the baseline, because if ABC Mortgage Company is the baseline, 18 months from now, when AI agents can find you the company, send the email, book the appointment, if you haven't done the work in 2026, in 2028, it's
Right.
I don't know how you overcome it in 2028.
You've got to take advantage of it now.
Yeah.
You've got to start aligning. You've got to start making sure that you're trusted. So if you have conflicting information, we talk about this all the time, but if you have conflicting information, or you are on your Google My Business, you are mortgage brokers. And if your website specializes in veteran mortgage brokers, but all your posts are about buying a house, you think you're sending AI one message, but you're really sending it three conflicting messages. And really, you can't build more content, you can't build more updates, and you can't make unnecessary changes. The change you need to make is to make it aligned. Pick your path.
Pick your path.
And let AI build that trust. Don't let AI build the trust. You build the trust with AI, because the system isn't asking anymore for more. They're not asking for more information. They're asking for alignment, and they're asking for strength and validity that they can trust, that AI can trust.
And that's so hard for businesses because they want to say they do everything. I mean, we've suffered from it too. We've really had to niche down on industries, on gender, because this is the problem that businesses get into. Exactly what you said about mortgages. You know, do you do 30-year fixed mortgage? Do you do refis? Do you do veteran? Do you do, I was on an insurance website. They do 14 different kinds of insurance, which I'm sure is true. But are you going to train AI on 14 different options that you have?
And you're not going to be able to.
And you're not going to be able to.
You really can't, because you're diluting the trust that AI is trying to build by trying to be everything to everyone. And I know it sounds like, oh, I just can't be, I'm not going to make any money by just being this specific. Well, you are, because you're going to attract more clients and more people to you because you are being specific and you are being the answer. Because before confidence is reached, AI asks what exists, but after confidence it's asking what matches. And that's where you don't want to be diluted. You want to be the match. You want to be strong, truthful, and honest, so that AI will find you.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little more next time about, does everything make it into the comparison? And that's, we kind of touched on a little bit today, but we're going to go into more in depth for that next time, because it doesn't, but that's okay. We'll talk about that next time. So this has been Tim
and Joy,
and we'll see you for episode 35 next time of Y'all I've Been Found.
All right. Take care.